wanted to bring Brother Harold Davis back to us. You know, I am excited that he has selected me to be his co-host on the radio show. But lots of times we live in a world, let me put it like this, where we're on I-57, but our young people are on I-94. And once they get in that room and they lock that door, or just close the door, and get on that computer, we don't know what they're doing. We don't know who they communicate with. You'll say, supper, and they'll say, not right now, I don't want to eat right now, I don't feel hungry. And they out there in a world that you know not of. Or they'll even go on and have the supper, take it off the table, and go back in that room. And because we as adults don't know much about computers, they talk into a world that you would be surprised about. And so what I want to do is, because it is Liberation Sunday, I want to liberate your mind as we liberate the minds of our people through the airwaves. And I wanted Harold to just come through. There's a lot of killing going on in Chicago. The hip hop movement, which has been an East Coast, West Coast kind of a dialogue, sometimes a violent dialogue, but now it's moved right here in the Inglewood-Chicago black neighborhoods. And I just knew that you wanted to know something about this so that you can understand how this TV, bad educational television, he's going to tell you about 3 women 28 years ago started this anti-cultural movement inside of our community, allowed it, tolerated it. And I just think that church folk, when you pray, when you're singing, when we're worshiping in church, that we need to know that our young people are in a world that we just never would conceive, with all the struggles we've been through as Africans in America, what we got to face, because there are forces coming deep into our children's minds and taking them way out there in this thing called space. So without further ado, I want Harold to Davis, who's got the Butt Naked Truth radio show. It's painful for me to even call it that in the pulpit, but that's what it is. And I want to present him to some and introduce him to others. My friend, my beloved brother, Harold Davis.
I think Pastor Sampson been more like a father to me than a pastor. So I've always had the deepest respect for him. And I find it an honor to have him on the radio with us, because he brings a historical message, historical content on things that we're trying to do with and deal with. And so, in the words of New Miles, the Negro got about 8 books in him. We got to get him before he died. And so, we were talking about this hip hop situation in Inglewood, that this past summer was the first time that the hip hop corporations or hip hop, the distributors of hip hop, first time in the history of hip hop, they've actually come to Chicago. So this past summer they signed up 6 young rappers, Lil Reese, Lil Durk, Lil Mouse, Chief Keef, and 2 females. One name is Sasha something, and the other girl name is, I forget her name. But they all come out of Inglewood, all 6 of them. And they've been signed to Sony, Interscope, and Def Jam. And I was talking to Reverend Sampson Friday, while he was out in the country. There was a video that went viral with a bus driver out of Cleveland arguing with a young lady, where he gets out of the bus, out of the seat. Supposedly she pushes him or something. And he said, "Oh, you going to jail now." And comes all the way down here from the floor, turns out and uppercuts her. Then picks her up, throws her completely off the bus. And she gets back on, and he continues to fight with her. And people are watching and filming. And so then I showed him a video of this little rapper, Lil Reese, who was signed to Def Jam out of Inglewood, where he's trying to get in a party, and the girl tells him he can't come in. And he pushes her, and she pushes him back, and then he unloads a fury of combinations like he's in a ring with a man.
Oh my God.
And Reverend Sampson said that it seemed to be that they're saying that we no longer have to respect black women. And when you get ready to do something to one of them, it's okay. And as he was out in the country and we were getting calls about the bus driver, I was really astonished at the fact that people were saying she got what she deserved. And I was really upset that the other station down the dial, people were saying that she got what she deserved. And it seems to be that we've gotten insensitive and we played into the hands of them saying that it's okay to do whatever you want to do to a black woman. And he told me it was 2 channels in Africa when he was visiting, and the only 2 channels he could get showed videos of black women shaking and acting like we see here. And so 28 years ago, Deborah Lee was president of BET. Christina Norman was president of VH1, MTV, and Kathy Hughes was president of Radio 1 and TV. Snoop Dogg walked on the stage with 2 black women on their hands and knees, and had collars around them like dogs. And one of them urinated on the floor, and the other one defecated on the floor. And they asked Deborah Lee about that program, and she said, as long as they want to see that, I'm going to show it. And if you don't like it, go vote at the record stores. That was 28 years ago. She's still the president of BET. Christina Norman had a little stint where she left VH1, MTV, went with Oprah. It didn't work with Oprah, so she's back over there. 28 years ago, she's still there. And 28 years ago, Kathy Hughes is still there. And so it was 3 black women that actually came out of the forefront and said, this is what y'all want to see, this is what we're going to show you. And so, you know, we talk about these things all the time, and I think that some light needs to be shed that these 3 black women are still presidents of these corporations. Kathy Hughes sold 51% of her station to Clear Channel. Summer Redstone still owns Viacom, Channel 2, MTV, VH1. Well, the top 10 reality shows of black people, where the Nielsen report, Attorney Todd is going back now and watching the behavior from 2 years old to 55. 2 years old in the black community. And these shows, T.I., Basketball Wives, Nobody Got a Husband, I mean, these reality shows that are on, have now depicted the grandmothers as being fools and clowns. The grandmothers. There's a show that his grandmother is on with this show called Little Scrappy. Notice all these rappers have in front of them Little Scrappy and Stevie J, Lil Wayne kissing a man. And Reverend Sampson, I didn't know that he has a habit of that. When I went back and Googled it, he's done it 3 or 4 times on stage. And so these grandmothers now, the grandmother's talking to, they got this guy in the middle and these 2 girls, and he's trying to decide which one he wants, and then the grandmother asked him had he had sex with one of the women, and he said no, and he said yes. He said, oh, I wanted to do that first. And another grandmother has got some rap song where she's cussing. And what I'm saying is that now they're depicting black grandmothers as some form of clowns and idiots that are out here now that are drinking and smoking and partying with their grandchildren. I was at the county jail a couple months ago visiting a young man, and as I sat there, I got searched 3 times before I got in the waiting room. As I sat there from 5:30 to 7:30 before I was even allowed to go in, and in my boredom, Reverend Sampson, I started counting the people in the room. I counted 76 black women, 10 Hispanic women, me and another guy who was only black, 2 black men. And then I looked around, and next to me there was a young lady about 17 and 2 little children, 2 little girls, her mother and her grandmother. So it was 4 generations there. Her grandmother said to the granddaughter, she said, I want to wear the dress that you wore last Friday to the party. And who's going to buy the Ciroc when we get to the party? And so we're in trouble. We've been trying to deal with saving our boys. But a lot of the conflict in the streets is being stirred up by the black female. That's right. But in closing, I would like to say this, Reverend Sampson. We talked about the New York Times article that was written in 1989. And Chief Keef also, they've written about 5 articles on him. So they took him to New York, put him in a gun range and let him shoot while they interviewed him. 17 years old, taken across state lines. He bragged about dropping out of 8th grade, no high school at all. His grandmother still lives on 63rd in Indiana in a building they call the Black Disciple Building. And he claims that he signed a $5 million contract with Interscope. And DMX said by the time the 5 years is up, he will owe Interscope. And that Interscope would give him money, but it would be in form of a loan. And so in that article, Attorney Todd, I thought it was interesting that they interviewed you in this article. And they went back to 1989, and they were interviewing Attorney Todd here. He said, a large black man in a gray business suit with a booming voice through the cinder block hall. This Attorney Todd said, I'm sick and tired of coalitions where black folks coalesce and white folks get power. I'm sick and tired of rainbows where black folks get all the rain and white folks get all the gold. Well, maybe if I can find a fair white people, maybe if I can find a fair Hispanic people, maybe I'll change my mind. And so they said the crowd thundered back, raising in their chairs, and they said, the question came up, race is not an issue in this campaign for mayor. And I can see Attorney Todd, Reverend Sampson saying, race is the only issue in this campaign. And he didn't say it like that, he said some other words that I can't say. And then you go down and read the article, and this is from 1989. They reprinted it. And they go back and they say, there's a black minister in the room who said that he was having a meeting, and he distinctly told the white reporters that no white people were invited to the meeting. And so they said something to him, and he said in his voice, "We're gonna shut it down." And that's the article that they said what Reverend Sampson said. And so I say all that to say, since 1989, the Asian community, 75% of the Asian community have at least one business in the black community that live in Chicago. 75% of them, which is an increase of 989% since 1989.
Wow.
The Indian community, since 1989, 65% of the Indian community in Chicago has at least one business in Chicago, an increase of 500% since 1989.
Come on.
The Arab community
Get it?
in Chicago, since 1989, 55% of them have at least one business in Chicago, a 400% increase since 1989. And this article is called The Ethnic Road to Riches, and how they talk about the black community. And in closing, for example, they talk about an Indian, Pakistani guy, who in 1987 was working in a restaurant as a busboy. He worked there until 1989. Then he went to work for an Indian guy in a gas station. By 1990, this young Indian had 13 gas stations in the black community. There's not one black gas station in Chicago that's owned by a black person. Not one. But I say all that to say this, Attorney Todd, that we're being economically sodomized every single day in this community.
Amen.
And they're telling us to solve all our problems. But with these kinds of numbers, that the Asian community, a 989% increase since 1989. We lost more than the mayor's office in 1989.
Come on.
We lost a whole lot. And our children are killing each other
Get it?
because they understand that we have no sense of territoriality.
Exactly.
But they do. And so when everybody understands territoriality but you, and you're trying to figure out, then maybe we should go to these kids and let them elevate our consciousness. And tell them, show and ask them, well, how do y'all come up with the territoriality of what y'all do? Because it is obvious to me that if something is not done real soon, then we as black people in Chicago, this boy Romney is here. We ain't seen nothing yet.